Special Sauce Podcast. You liking the sauce? The sauce is good, huh?
So start off as finance drive. Train them, trust them, and let them lead.
With your host, Marcus Aurelius.
This is Marcus Aurelius here with Special Sauce Podcast. We have a wonderful guest today. We have Dee Davidson. She represents Pure Haven, and she's all over the web. You might have seen her very popular group. She has a group, NonToxic Living with Dee, and I consider her kind of a guru on, what really works in the world of health and medicine and cosmetics and everything we use. Everything that touches our skin, and I'm glad we have you here today. Thanks for joining us, Dee.
Thanks so much for asking me to be on the show.
I'm glad. This is a little bit different than our normal topics are startup, finance, and drive. And people are going to say to themselves, well, why do you have a health expert on? And I thought about this. You know what? How can you have drive and motivation if you're putting garbage in to your body, your skin, and your life, right? Tell us, how did you become the guru of all things non-toxic?
I had thought about the exercise piece. Many people think about, keeping the body moving, the mind positive. Food-wise, I was buying organic food and looking for healthier options. However, I wasn't thinking about all the things I was lathering in or cleaning my house with and my environment with. Until I went through this journey of unexplained infertility. Sadly, many people don't start to think about it until they have an issue in their world that really affects them, and that was me. With my unexplained infertility, I started to research, how can I be in this category? Who are the people in this unexplained infertility category? And what I found when I was researching was that these endocrine disrupting chemicals in our everyday products, whether it be cleaning products or shampoos, or just our environment in general, are increasing the rates in infertility. And so I started to check my own products and started to think like, wow, maybe something that I was exposed to or choices that I made could have had an impact on that. And that's kind of what brought me on this journey.
So tell us about yourself. Where are you from? I know that we hear the New England accent, but where are you from originally? Like, where did you start out?
So I grew up in Attleboro, and now I moved to the North Attleboro area, which is actually a really big deal because Attleboro and North Attleboro are rivals. So I get a ton of crap about that, especially when it comes to Thanksgiving Day game. And people say, you're wearing blue for Attleboro or red for North. But yes, I'm right in North Attleboro.
So tell me, I'm not a big label reading guy. I've become more of a label reading person, and there's words on there I really think that the average American can't pronounce. And tell me how important it is to read labels. Is that a big thing for you?
Oh my gosh, it's so important. Most people don't realize that only 5% of personal care and cleaning products on our shelves at the market are checked for safety. One question that I often ask people when they sit down with me is, would you get on a plane that was only checked 5% of the time before you flew off somewhere? Probably not, right? Mm-hmm. And that's when you're trusting, right? And you're pulling this thing off the shelf, and only 5% of the time is it being checked for safety. Matter of fact, Europe, Canada, Australia, Japan, they ban thousands of chemicals, Marcus, where the United States is almost 90,000 chemicals in existence. We only ban, I'm going to have you take a stab at it. How many do you think we ban?
Let's see. Judging by what I've seen in the government, very few. I would say I'm kind of cheating because I did read your stuff there, but it's a really small number. It's like under double digits, isn't it? It's sad.
It's 11. Is that or what? 11 chemicals banned. So it's a free-for-all, and you and I have to really be advocates for our own family and have the tools to make the informed decisions, because companies can put things like organic, all natural, green leaves on the front. And matter of fact, before I found Pure Haven 7 years ago, I was doing exactly that. And you might be able to relate. I thought I was at Whole Foods, the end all be all. And don't get me wrong, I still shop there for many things. But I thought if I'm at Whole Foods, like I'm at the right place, I would pull something off the shelf and, you know, without having any tools to make those decisions, I would say it says, you know, all natural or organic. And it's so important to be able to understand the labels and really think about the fact that if you can't pronounce it or understand what the chemical is, as you just stated, how is your body going to process that, and what's going to happen when you put that into your body?
Tell me this, why did you start up a business like this, and how hard was it to start this
Okay,
up?
so my background is in corporate finance. As you know, you and I went to good old business school of Roger Williams, right? And so
That's
I
right.
went out of school and I went into the finance world and did, you know, what I thought was what most American people do, get a corporate job. However, my lifelong dream really was to start a family and have the freedom of time to be able to be home with them and enjoy those quality moments. So when I had my first son almost 10 years ago, I left the corporate world. I said, you know what? I want to be there for those moments. I want to be able to volunteer at school and do those things. And 3 years into that, Marcus, I really felt a little guilty because I wasn't really loving it. I'm just being honest here, right? I was home with these two boys, ages 3 and 1. The days were long. Most days I probably had spit up on me, right? And I had lost a lot of myself. I was not in a good place. However, you know, I didn't really know what was possible. I was thinking, I don't want to go back to that, you know, working really hard and hoping someone gives me a 3% raise, and asking for vacation time off in January, right? Waiting for that July vacation, hoping I had seniority for that. So Pure Haven came to my life at the right time. I believe there are no accidents. My kids were 3 and 1, and my son had really bad skin issues. I was already living this lifestyle because through his birth, I understood about chemicals and how that had already impacted our family. And so I believed in Pure Haven and what they represented. I loved that I could understand the ingredients and it was safety. I could put my head down on the pillow every night knowing I was using the safest products on the market. So I joined originally just for the wholesale pricing. When you become a wholesaler, you get this awesome discount. But what I realized 6 months into it was there was an opportunity for me to find my purpose and passion, do something for myself, and not have to give up you know, that dream of being home with my kids, so that I could be home with them and also be doing something for myself and doing something purposeful, I have to say, right? So that is how I started my business. And how easy was it? Well, I mean, there's not a lot of businesses that you can start in this country for a couple $100s.
Yeah.
And that's exactly all it takes, right? So I had already bought the kit because I wanted products and discounts, so, you know, the wholesale pricing. And all it took really was a desire to educate consumers, which I already had. You know, if I could save someone from going through the unexplained infertility or help someone avoid things that are contributing to the, you know, 90% environmental rate in our country of cancer, 90%,
It's crazy.
1 out of 2 people, right? That this was something I wanted to walk and live. And at the same time, you know, I've built a very successful business, as you know, and have
Very
you know,
successful.
I've done well for doing good, I always say, right?
That's right. So tell me this, what was the growth phase like? What really powered up your growth phase? A lot of our people who have startup businesses, they're always wondering, you know, what was that one thing that really powered you up, that got you really fired up, that let you hit the next level? What was it?
You know, I know you love this because I, as a mom of 2 boys, right, I always say to other people, our number 1 customer demographic is, guess who? Moms. We might not make those decisions for ourselves or spend the money, but we certainly want to protect our family and our children. And when I talk to my team and my customers, I always say there's nothing like an angry mom, right? And that might sound negative. However, for me, it has driven me to get the information out to empower families to make informed decisions, because like myself, I think about how many people are trusting in the fact that someone's got to be regulating this, right? That, hey, we live in the best country in the world, don't we? Right? And so how can this be happening? So for, my story, it really is the information and empowering families to have the information to make those decisions and to have choices.
That's great. And I tried out some of the products. I meant to get it over to Joe sooner than anything, but Joe's kind of in his own like bubble. Joe won't even talk on this podcast because when he goes home, with the COVID-19, he goes into like a space suit and hangs upside down, right? But Joe's very health conscious.
Mhm.
We were talking about this a while ago. It's one thing to coach people to start up, to raise money the right way, to come with the right face forward in the business. But it's another thing to really bond with the value system, right? And you're very passionate, right? So is passion a big part of the value system that helped you be successful?
Absolutely. I just spoke at our leadership summit and I asked some people in other industries, what do you think makes me different from the next Pure Haven rep or a rep from another business or something? And that is the number one thing I've heard over and over again, is that you're so passionate about helping people live their best life. Even outside of Pure Haven, just helping people live a healthy lifestyle is really the stem of, what drives me every day.
So I went ahead and used the shampoo this morning. I knew you were coming on. I knew
your hair looked amazing.
And I put it, and I used the soap and I sprayed a little bit of my wife wears like patchouli. She wears like all kinds of oils and stuff. So like, I know for attention, for sleeping, there's a lot of aids. So you have like a lot of, it's funny. I call this like, there's a lot of housewives, like they go to Whole Foods and they buy all this stuff and they just assume, hey, Whole Foods is selling it. It must be good stuff, right? I took your list and I looked at the ingredients on your stuff and it's like basic, you know what I mean? It's like, it's like that Come to America movie where the guy goes, what has he got in his hair? Natural juices and berries, right? Literally that's like your ingredients, right? But like, I look at the Whole Foods stuff and there's a lot of words in there I really can't pronounce, Are you finding that to be the case? Are those the people that usually, gravitate to your stuff? Is that kind of where it starts?
So that's a great point. We have a term for that in the industry. It's called greenwashing. So again, people are they want to do better. They're going to, even if it's Target, the healthier aisles, right, with the green stuff. But we call that greenwashing. Companies know that people are becoming more aware. We all know people that have had cancer or a child with autism, right, or someone with Alzheimer's. So they know that we're onto them. So they're like, how can we market to these people and fool them through our marketing, right? One of the things I teach people is it's all about the ingredients. So when people say, what's different than Pure Haven to this company or this brand? I would say, turn the bottle around. The ingredients is what's different. So yes, absolutely. People are going to those places hoping this is where I'm going to find the safe products. However, remember that only 5%, and there's very little regulation in our country as to what can be used in a product. So it is important to do that. And I love that we share the ingredients to avoid. And that's the top 20 things to avoid, carcinogens and endocrine disruptors. However, my rule of thumb is if I can't understand the ingredient, maybe, my body's not going to be able to understand that either.
So part of our coaching is about finding a strong mentor, right? So whether it's an industry mentor or in many cases, people just need someone to hold them accountable, right? So, you have built a lot of businesses other than your own. That's part of kind of what you do, right? So what does it mean to be a good mentor? And for you, how have you done it? How have you built so many careers in that business?
So having a good mentor is so important because if the biggest value I see there is, hey, I want smart people around me, right? So people that have done this and walked it before, and it saves me time from failing fast, right? If I can take the knowledge that I've learned from a mentor or an expert in the field, that's going to save me time to get somewhere so much quicker. And having someone that really has a system, I think systems is so important. Matter of fact, up until a couple of years ago, I didn't realize I had a system, and I hired my own business coach, and I know you've met him. And he said to me, Dee, this is great. Because I would say, this is so easy. I want to duplicate it or have other people experience this growth. And he said, we got to get it down to an easy, simple system. That is really what we have perfected, is an easy system of just sharing, inviting people to look at the issue and the solution. And having a mentor is so important, because if you have to start and figure all of that stuff at ground zero, it's going to take you so much longer. It's really hard. And it can be discouraging when you don't have that person to show you the way or the path.
Yeah. And so you hire a coach. This is interesting. So you work with a coach, and what kind of things do you get from that relationship, from a coaching relationship? Oh, you there? Uh-oh. I think we froze up there. Can I start over?
Yeah.
Everybody okay? All right. Hard stop. All right. Here we go. Is that my connection? Does it say my connection's unstable? Does it say it on your screen, your connection unstable? All right. I think we're good now. All right. So going back. Okay. So Dee, I noticed that you use a coach, and and we do some coaching ourselves. What is it that you utilize the coach for? What does he help you with in your business?
You know what I love about my coach is that he gives me an outside perspective. So he's not someone within Pure Haven or within our organization. He can objectively look in and take his life experiences, business experiences, and give them look at that and say, Dee, what makes me think about things from an outside perspective? What if you did this? Or how do you think this might affect or impact your business? That is a huge thing for me. And again, just holding me accountable for things, right? I'm pretty accountable to myself, but to have that outsider say, hey, we said we were working towards this. How's that going?
That's good. That's good. So he kind of gives you that reinforcement that you need, but you push him too, from what I understand. You got him to actually work with you, right? Is that right?
Absolutely. My business coach is a great guy. He knows the numbers and he's seen the impact. He's got a 6-year-old son, and he was unaware of this issue. He was on autopilot, like many of us, just buying the products that maybe your parents bought or that you thought were healthy. And through working with me, he learned that this is a major issue, and he too wants to protect his family. So he joined for a couple of reasons. One, because he knows these are the safest products and that he can protect his family. And two, he's the circle of influence right there, right? He knows all of these people, and it's coming up more and more every day in our everyday conversations. So, he just said, hey, why am I not getting paid for, referring people to Pure Haven? So now, yeah, he's on board.
And speaking of circle of influence, we haven't talked to each other in like 20 years. I run into short span with the podcast, the consulting, the people we meet. I run into like 2 or 3 people that know what you're up to nowadays. I guess you're the leader and director of a women's group, right? So you have a very successful women's group also. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. So the Inspiring Women's Network is what it's called. And I really started that, nothing against the guys, but I feel that sometimes it's really nice for women to come together and support each other and uplift each other, right? Because a lot of times people are, in general, men and women, tearing each other down. And I am all about giving back and helping each other, because if you can see my necklace, you can't see it, but my hashtag as of a couple of years ago is #BetterTogether. And I really do believe that we can all bring something to the table and help one another. So the Inspire Women's Network is just a bunch of women who want to do better, it's kind of like a mastermind, and just women entrepreneurs.
So that's a good non-threatening way for them to meet you and kind of get to know you a little bit. And you guys network together, whatever their wares are, you can kind of work together and build each other stronger. I like that. That's great. So you do anything else like that in your community? Like, I know you're pretty involved. I know you were upset when your YMCA was telling people not to go. You were like, Marcus, if they see my plate there, that's not a good thing that I'm working out during this COVID. But you're so into working out that it's a feather in your cap. But as far as your community, what besides YMCA yoga, kickboxing, and all that stuff, what else do you do?
So you know what I love that I've been able to bring to my community. Again, it comes back to education, and this is not just in North Attleboro, but my team. We have one of the leading teams in the nation. I've seen this ripple effect of people who have been doing this with the community. And I know you could probably relate. At the beginning of the school year, they kindly ask for donations of things like those Lysol wipes or hand sanitizers. And you can imagine that I cringe, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, like these people have no idea. They're just doing, again, what they think is the right thing, right?
Yeah.
I've really helped North Attleboro with understanding the issue here. I have a whole PowerPoint presentation if anyone wants it to present to their PTO and their superintendent. One of my gals in Blackstone Valley, she actually helped them wipe that stuff completely out of all of the schools. I've been able to do that in the schools kids go to, because they really don't know. And when you start looking at how to use those things even properly, people aren't even using them where they work. You have to leave it on the table or the desk for 10 minutes. Then you got to wash it off with warm water and soap. You and I know no one is going to the sink and getting cloths and wiping that out. It's linked to neurological disorders, all these kids with ADD, ADHD, asthma, right? So I've really been able, that's something I'm very proud of. I've been able to educate a lot of the people in the school system to get that stuff out of there. And they ask for things like paper towels, and we've come up with some natural solutions to combat that. And also just right now, there's so many shortages of things. One of the things I'm doing with our local fire and police department in North Attleboro is donating hand sanitizers. It's pretty amazing that we can't get hand sanitizers. And by the way, you don't want the stuff you're getting at the store. It's pretty bad for you. It's a whole other issue. But right now, because we manufacture in Johnston, Rhode Island, and everything is made around the clock, right? We have the ability to keep up with these demands. We're, a couple weeks out, but a couple weeks out is great. And so I'm donating a lot of that stuff to local police stations, fire departments. I just had a nurse at Kent Hospital in Rhode Island who was able to provide stuff for her whole night shift. So yeah, giving back it's a core principle for me.
Cool. So, we're getting to that point in the program where I ask you what your special sauce is. And, you've got probably a lot of good answers that we got earlier, but what is your personal perspective on your special sauce? Why are you successful?
That's really easy for me to answer. So my special sauce is really to serve others. This is something that I haven't always done. But as I've grown as an entrepreneur and a business owner, I really believe when you give, it comes back to you in like 100,000 million fold, right? So serving others without thinking about what's in it for myself. I teach my team FAYC, forget about yourself completely. All of that stuff, I truly comes back to you. I wake up every morning and I ask, who can I serve today? Is it someone that needs help with their child who's been in the hospital 9 times with asthma, that has no idea that removing these chemicals could potentially help their child? Is it someone who, I had one woman, she told me, I was in tears. She told me that it was the first time in building a business with me and partnering with me that she could go to the grocery store and put whatever she wanted in that cart and not think about it. So maybe it's that person that just needs the opportunity to have just $500 a month could make a difference to someone, or maybe it's someone who wants a total lifestyle change. But that is really what my secret sauce is: care about others and think about how I can serve others.
Nice. And what you just said there serves a lot of our folks. So a lot of our folks, we started with a lot of military folks. We've got a lot of military spouses that tune in. We have a ton of folks that, let's say they may not reopen their business. I mean, if you started up this year and you were looking to break even in a year or two, things may not work out. So there's a lot of people just looking for that side income to keep things going, or they're at their job that they hate and they would really like to be doing something else, right? So right. How do they get in touch with you? How do they find you? Do they have to go to YMCA and do kickboxing, or?
No, I prefer no stalkers, please. No stalkers.
Pilates, what is it? The curtsy lunge? They got to do that thing.
I'd love to invite you to a class. I'd love to see
you. Would so kick my ass. It's not even funny. But yeah, I love that stuff though. My daughter gets me on it. So
awesome. I love it. So the ways that people can reach me, I highly encourage you to follow me on social media. Everyone's on social media nowadays. So Instagram, Living Non-Toxic with Dee. It's going to be an ongoing theme. Facebook, I have a group called Living Non-Toxic with Dee. If you want to become part of a community that just talks about healthy living, I have a business page, Living Non-Toxic with Dee, on Facebook. And then, of course, if you just want to read anonymously and get to learn a little bit, I have that blog that I write about different issues outside of Pure Haven on livingnonttoxicwithdee.com.
Awesome. And you have a guide to all those ingredients, right? So if someone meets with you or by chance connects with you, you usually make that available, right? Is that kind of part of the deal?
Absolutely.
They're looking at, right? Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to doing more things with you. Thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
I want to, as I usually say at the end of all my podcasts, be well and be prosperous.
That's perfect. Thanks, guys.